Back when I was in high school, a new music genre took the internet by storm. Lo-fi hip-hop blew up in early 2017, and as an active member of online music production communities, I was in love with it. Laid-back instrumentals, reusing old jazz samples, I loved it. I thought this was really cool. This era ushered in lots of one-hit wonders. Think 90s Flav's Call Me, think Alex's The Marks on My E-Piano Won't Go Away. Think anything that Idealism ever released. These are all songs that defined a melancholic and at times sad part of my adolescence, but I still hold them really near and dear to my heart. For whatever reason, I deleted the old lo-fi hip-hop SoundCloud playlist that I had from back when I was a teenager. These were songs that I would listen to on the Bluetooth speaker in my car as we would drive around. Unfortunately, a lot of those are songs that I'll never be able to find again. One of the songs in that playlist was School Rooftop by Hisoka, a song that earned an immediate playlist ad from me, as the analog-sounding synth loop that defines it was really a nice change of pace from the typical jazz samples and piano loops that dominated lo-fi hip-hop at the time. Yet I found out recently that School Rooftop can't really be considered Hisoka's. While I was on a walk on a fittingly clear-skied evening, a song came up on my Spotify shuffle that I thought was a sped-up version of Hisoka's School Rooftop. But it wasn't quite, and at first I concluded that it must be a remake. The synth sounded a bit too clear, it didn't have that pitch bend at the end of the fourth bar. But then, as the song went onward, the sleigh bells and the ambiance came in exactly the same as it does on School Rooftop. And through this, I learned that School Rooftop uses a sample from a song called Ficus by an artist named WMD. And at some level, shame on me. This shouldn't have been a surprise. Hip-hop is a genre that's known for making use of samples as a creative outlet, and lo-fi should be no different. And reusing jazz samples is one thing, but the digital nature of School Rooftop had always made me assume that this was an entirely original composition that I was listening to. Yet there was something about the way that the sample was used that rubbed me the wrong way. To learn that the extent of the effort put into a song that I held so dearly was just the slowing down of a sample, no chopping, and applying a drum beat to it, almost felt like a betrayal of sorts. And just so we're clear, I'm not exaggerating. The extent of the work that was put into School Rooftop included slowing down Ficus, applying a drum beat, adding a couple filters, and one pitch bend. Wading into this territory is mucky because as an artist, I've of course sampled myself. It's an art form that I have a lot of respect and appreciation for. Lots of my favorite songs are defined by the use of samples. Yet there's a threshold where sampling to me stops being creative and transformative and starts being lazy and even exploitative. Where's the line between producing and glorified vibe curating, just collecting your favorite 8-bar samples and putting a drum beat over them? What level of composition is required to call something your own? When trying to tell whether or not the use of a sample amounts to theft, it's useful to call upon the age-old definition of porn. I can't define it, but I know it when I see it. And I can't help but feel that WMD is being blatantly ripped off here. For me, it's hard not to conclude that School Rooftop is not a work of art. It's the blatant copy-pasting of somebody else's work, applying the minimal necessary changes to pass a fair use check, and then calling it your own. And this relabeled release hasn't been without acclaim. School Rooftop has outperformed Ficus on Spotify by literally hundreds of millions of plays. Not to mention that this borderline plagiarism gets even more egregious when you consider the intro and bird sounds variations of School Rooftop, which include nothing that Hisoka produced firsthand. It's just a slowed and reverbed Ficus sample. If it's not obvious by now, I consider School Rooftop to be artistically bankrupt. A song that's this close to its sample source material is at best a remix, and it certainly doesn't justify overriding the original artist in the order of the credits. But here's the issue. I think Hisoka was right to do it. Would WMD or Ficus have seen any recognition whatsoever were it not for Hisoka's barely baked adaptation of his work? Artistic criticisms aside, it's really easy to make the case that a significant portion of WMD and, by extension, Ficus's listeners have come directly from the popularity of this derivative work that I'm right now criticizing. And the problem is, I'm really sympathetic to this point of view. Maybe Hisoka ripped off WMD, but if he never did, then none of us would know about that amazing synth line that WMD composed in Ficus. It's easily observed that both parties mutually benefit from this, and not to mention that WMD at least post hoc signed off on the creation of School Rooftop, as his name is included in the credits on Spotify. In a circumstance like this, it's hard not to rule no harm, no foul. both parties appear pleased with the outcome. Doesn't matter what percentage of the master he owns, I just hope that WMD is getting paid out and paid out well. Because ultimately, I love both Ficus and School Rooftop. I can't erase all of the nostalgia that's caught up in listening to School Rooftop on those clear evening walks. Yet I also can't help but feel that whatever School Rooftop is to me now, it's first and foremost an example of when sampling stops being creative and adventurous and instead just becomes lazy.